Hi there. Thanks for taking the time to practice yoga today. My name is Alesha, and I'm here at Therapeutic Approach Yoga Studio. And I'm going to guide you through your yin and yang class. The first portion of the class will be a little bit of a warm-up, and then we'll get into some flow or the yang portion. And the second portion will go into the yin. So that's where we hold postures for time between 1 to 5 minutes to affect the deep tissues in the body. Behind me, I have a block, a foam, and a yoga belt. And if you have those handy, that's great. If you don't happen to have them handy, we'll just use what you have around. You'll also need a yoga mat. So I'll invite you to get ready and get started. Just know that throughout class, I'll be offering you some variations for postures, and feel free to take your time or go at your own pace so you can adjust the postures according to how you feel. And during the flow, you might even choose to go a little faster than me or a little slower than me, and that's totally okay. I'll invite you to arrive in either a puppy posture or child's posture. So your puppy might look like your knees land on the floor and your forearms come down. Your head could land on a block or the floor itself. Go to a place where your neck can relax a little bit, and you can find some space throughout the back portion of your body. If you feel it right there, then stay. If you feel like you have a little bit of wiggle room around your low back, your hips, feel free to come into child's, where you send your hips back a little bit closer towards your heels. If you're looking to make space for the torso, your knees might go a little wider and toes point towards each other. Give yourself time to land here on your mat. Begin to notice where you feel the support of the ground beneath your body. Here you might notice the tops of the feet pressing down or the toes. You might notice the support of the earth beneath your shins or your knees, your arms and hands, and even your forehead. Notice where you could sink into that support just a little bit more. And sometimes it will help free up a little more space around your back, your sides, and the front of your rib cage. If you start to notice that softening, then see if you could bring breath a little lower and slower into your torso as you inhale. And as you exhale, let your ribcage soften back in. Notice the rhythm of your breath, the quality of the breath. And notice what the breath might be trying to tell you about how you're feeling in the body, heart, or mind. See if you could stay here for 3 more cycles of breath, noticing the inhale, exhale, noticing the expansion of your torso, and softening. 1 more breath in. Watch it go out. This time, press up into your hands and rise up to table in quadruped. So your hands are under shoulders and knees under hips. If you notice your wrists are a little tender, you could always keep your forearms down or have your fists on the ground with thumbs forward. On your next breath in, allow your hips to tilt upward as your belly sways low, coming into cow. Reach your chest forward and lengthen through your throat. Then as you exhale, tuck your hips under, round your spine, and let your head be heavy. Alternating sides. Inhale, belly sways, widen through the chest. Exhale, curl everything under. One more time. Inhale, lengthen through the back. And exhale, round through the back. Puff up between your shoulder blades here in cat. Then come back to center, keeping your neck long. I'll invite you to come into bird dog. That might look like you bring your right toes behind you on the ground. Maybe you hover your right heel behind you, reaching the heel right out from the hip. Now, if that feels great, stay there. If you like, you can reach your left arm forward with a thumb up. Notice the breath in here. And then as you exhale, pull your knee in towards your nose or elbow, curling under like that cat posture. We'll do that again. Inhale, kick out, maybe reach. And exhale to round. One more time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, curl under. Tabletop, land down. Switch sides. Left foot back. Toes could land. Option to stay here or hover your foot off the ground. Toes are awake here, pulling in towards your left knee. Option to stay as you are or right arm reaches. Steady through your foundation. Notice another inhale, get long through the torso. And as you exhale, pull your knee in towards nose or elbow, rounding under like a cat. Inhale, kick out. Exhale, round under. And then one more time, extend. And exhale, flex. Land everything down. From here, you can come into puppy or child's again. If you're feeling that in your wrists, you could bring your palms up towards the ceiling and then back down towards the floor. Palms up and palms down. Just rotating the wrists a few times, letting that go. Just a couple more breaths right here. One more inhale. And a long empty out. This time, rise up towards your tabletop. Hands pressed down. Option to stay here or walk your hands forward one step on the mat. Tuck your toes under. Come into downward facing dog. Press firmly into your hands and lift your hips up and back. Now you might have a generous bend in your knees or a little bend. Notice where you could keep your hands pressing. And as you inhale, lengthen your hips up and back. Could you exhale and soften your heels a little bit more? Follow another inhale right here. And let the breath go out. Three-legged dog. Inhale, kick your right foot back. And if you're in table, you could do this like bird dog from earlier. Left knee might be down. See if you can find length from your hands all the way up to your right foot as you breathe in. And this time, as you breathe out, hug your right knee forward. Plant your right foot down by your right hand and come into a lunge. If you need to, you could land your left knee down, pick up your foot and get it there. That's totally okay. Then land your left knee down wherever you are. And I like to have a block here. So you could bring the block in the center of your mat. And hands go on the block. From here, wiggle your front foot a little more forward. And we'll do a little bit of a hip shift. So shift your hips forward and shift your hips back. Reaching the knee forward a little bit, hips go forward And then hips go back. So we're bending the front knee and then starting to straighten one more time. Now this time we'll hold. So it's a half split, and you might even start to pull your right toes up towards your right kneecap. You could have a little bend in your right knee, especially if you're feeling this like a big stretch on the back of your right leg. And you might even have a little foam under your left knee. Now, if this is feeling pretty good, you're feeling a stretch into your front leg and possibly your low back, stay right here. If you like, you could inhale, get a little bit taller, and as you exhale, fold forward, adjusting the block accordingly. Now, if you have long arms, you might even bring your hands on either side of your right leg. Staying here for 3 more breaths. We're noticing what it feels like. Noticing if it feels like a nice and kind stretch. Go to a place where you can breathe. Last inhale. Let the breath go out. From here, come up halfway. Hands could go to blocks if they're out to the side. Inhale, lift up, and stay for the breath out. Ground down into your hands and back knee. Bring your right foot back under your right knee. This time, plant your hands down. It could be on the floor or blocks. Come back to table or downward facing dog. Press back. Be here for 3 breaths. Maybe you like to shake out your hips a little bit, bending one knee and then the other, or perhaps you shake out your head from side to side. Arms stay strong. Back is long. 1 more inhale. Let the breath go out. This time, 3-legged dog, second side. Inhale, kick your left foot back. Notice where you could keep long through the arms, shoulders, back body. Kicking your left heel up and back. Stay for another breath in. This time, as you exhale, bend your right knee. Scoop your left knee forward. Plant your left foot down close to your left hand. Again, option to land your right knee down. Pick up your foot and get it there. We'll all land in a low lunge. Now you could bring a block around and scoot your left foot a little forward. We'll do that bend and straighten. So shift your hips forward and shift your hips back. Bending your front knee and then straightening. Still breathing. Shift and back. And 1 more time. This time, shift your hips back. So it's just about above your right knee. Straighten your left knee. And it might have a little bend in it, depending on how this feels on the back line of your left leg. So if you're noticing a big stretch already, you could stay just as you are. That's totally okay. If you don't feel a whole lot yet, maybe about 50 or 60% stretch, you can start to fold forward from your hips over your front leg. Hands could stay on block or blocks, or if you have long arms, touch the floor, fold forward. We'll go for a long spine first, but then if you're fairly far forward, you might notice the spine round a little bit. Notice where you could bring your breath here. Could you expand through your back body a little bit as you inhale? And as you exhale, stay firm in your foundation, hands and back knee. 1 more breath in. And a long empty. This time, if your hands were down low, bring them back up. Press firmly into the block. Rebend your front knee. Slide the foot in under your knee. And then you get to choose here. You could bring your hands to blocks, the floor, step back to table, or downward facing dog. Go to a place where you'd like to stay for 3 breaths. Maybe you even do a few rounds of cat and cow. One last breath in right here. Full exhale out. This time, knees bend, look forward. Make your way up to the front. You can step, hop, dance, whatever you like. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, flex your hips and fold forward. Come into your ragdoll. So your feet are about hips distance apart. Toes could be a little forward. Now, if you notice this is putting a little extra stretch in your low back and you're looking for support, you could have your forearms on your thighs and knees generously bent. So this is a great way to get that lengthening in the back without as much stretch. Maybe you allow your torso and arms to dangle forward, or you could clasp opposite elbows. If you notice that your neck is really holding on here, see if you could shake it gently from side to side as if you're saying no. Feet stay firm. Breath stays fluid. Just a couple more breaths. One more inhale. And one more exhale. This time, press down firmly into your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen from tailbone to top of head. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold forward. This time, feet press down. Inhale, arms reach up, extended mountain. Exhale, arms lower, mountain. Palms forward, shoulders relaxed. I'll invite you now to come into your standing crescent moon side stretch. Reach your right palm up to the sky, up and over like your crescent moon. Send your hips towards your right and both feet plant down. You could have your bottom hand on thigh or clasp on your top wrist and pull slightly up and over. Notice where you could find some space between your right hip and right shoulder. Gaze could be forward or even up. Stay for a couple more breaths. One more fill. Last empty. Inhale, rise up. This time, left arm reaches up and over. Hips shift a little to your left. Right hand could be on thigh or reach up to your top wrist and give a little stretch, pulling gently up and over. Notice what it feels like on this side. Notice where you could breathe a little more space into your left. Stay for just a couple more cycles of breath. One more breath in. And a long empty. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. As you exhale, hinge at your hips and fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. This time, hands plank, table or plank, your choice. Your plank could have knees up or down. And then as you exhale, lower straight down towards the floor. You could hover or come all the way down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Press the tops of your feet down. Lift your chest away from the ground. Exhale, hands press. Hips rise up and back or remain in your table. I know you can always do a cat-cow instead of that whole flow or come into down dog straight away. Wherever you are, stay with your next 3 breaths. Notice the breath in. Let it go out. Hands are still steady, feet are still planted. And notice where you could breathe more space in between those 2 points. One last breath here. Full empty, knees bend, look forward, make your way up towards the front. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extended mountain, reach up. Exhale, mountain, arms lower. This time we'll start to go a little faster. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold forward. Knees might be soft here. Inhale, halfway lift. Strong back, strong legs. Exhale, hinge at your hips, fold your plank or table. On the breath out, lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog, a little back bend. Exhale, press the floor away, lift your hips up and back. I know those other options still apply here. Just 3 breaths. All your finger pads are planted down. Still, as you inhale, lift your tailbone up and back. And as you exhale, soften the heels just ever so slightly. One more breath in. Full breath out, knees bend, look forward, come on up to the front. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extended mountain, reach high. Exhale, mountain, arms lower down. A little faster, inhale, reach up this time. Exhale, flex and fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plank, step back, breath out to lower. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Keep your legs strong. Exhale, press the floor away. Lift your hips up and back. Just a breath here in table or down dog. Breath in. Full empty. Knees bend. Look forward. Come on up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extended mountain. Reach up high. Exhale, arms lower, mountain. One more time like that. Inhale, get long, reach. Exhale, fold forward, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold your plank. Hands are steady. Breath out, lower. Inhale, cobra. Back is awake. Exhale, downward facing dog or table. Stay for a breath in. Let the breath go out. Step or hop forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extended mountain. Reach from your heels to your fingertips. Exhale, arms lower, mountain. From here, we'll move into a sun bee with a few extra things added in. So I'll invite you to come into your chair. Depending on how you feel, your toes might be together, heels apart, and knees might be together. If you like a little more space, feet are about hips distance apart. That's about 2 fist distance apart. Once your feet feel steady, send your hips back and down as you bend your knees. Clasp your hands at heart center. We'll come into chair with breathing hand. As you inhale, press your palms forward, reach up high, straighten your legs. And as you exhale, sink your hips back and down, clasp the hands. Again, inhale, press your palms forward, reach up high. And exhale, sink down. Now this time, notice which thumb is on top. Inhale, press your palms forward, reach up. And as you exhale, sink your hips back and down. This time, see if you could change the grip of your hands. So other thumb is on top. Straighten your legs, press palms forward, inhale, reach up high. Exhale, sink everything back down. Again, clasp hands, press forward, inhale, reach. And exhale, come on down. One more time. Inhale. And exhale, find your chair. Hands could be on thighs, heart center, or reach forward and up. Lots of options for the arms. Legs are still strong. Just another breath in right here. As you exhale, flex at your hips, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen, hands could be to shins or knees. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands down, find your plank or table, your flow. Exhale, you could lower down towards the floor. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Bring your chest away from the ground. Exhale, down dog. Hands press. Hips could rise up and back. We'll be here for about 3 more breaths. Notice how you're feeling. Notice what your breath and body are trying to tell you here. One last inhale. And a full breath out. As you breathe out, pull your belly button in and up just a little bit. And inhale, kick your right foot back. Exhale, pull your right knee forward. Remember from before, you could pick up your foot and get it there into a lunge or step it forward. Once you're here, land your back foot on an angle, warrior one. Inhale, arms and torso reach up. I'll invite you to stay here for 3 breaths. And here, your back hip actually might be a little bit open, so it might be askew. But see if you could face your ribs forward. Both feet still steady. Back heel really grounding down. Last breath in. And let the breath go out. As you breathe out, arms lower down. Now, I like to keep all my stuff kind of at the front of my mat. So you might like to take a block here in the center of your mat. If you have 2, that's great. Bring them on either side of your front foot. We'll come into pyramid. So start to straighten your front leg a little bit. This time we'll pivot both of the hip points forward towards the front edge of the mat. And if you need to make your stance shorter to do so, step your back foot a little more forward. This time hands go to hips. Find a little bit of a back bend, almost like a little bit of a cobra. So you're lifting your chest up towards your chin as you breathe in. And as you exhale, hinge at your hips and fold over your front leg shape. So it's kind of like the half split we did earlier. You could stay here or find arms out to the side like airplane arms. If you have a little wiggle room, you could bring your hands down to the block or maybe even the floor. Front knee might be a little bit soft, especially if you're feeling this strongly in the back of your right leg. Go to a place where you can maintain ease of breath and strong legs. Just a couple more breaths right here. Staying for another breath in. And a long empty. Now ground down strongly into both feet. You have a little bend in your front knee now. Inhale, rise up halfway. Hands go to hips. Really connect to your front foot. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Inhale, arms reach. And as you exhale, back heel rises, hands plant your lunge, and back knee could be up or down. Step back to your table or plank. On your next breath out, lower down towards the floor. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Keeping the neck long and chin tucked just a little. Exhale, downward facing dog or table. Staying here for a few breaths, noticing what came up during that right side. Notice one more long breath in. And follow a long exhale. This time, as you inhale, kick your left foot back, 3-legged dog. Exhale, lunge, pull your left foot forward, plant your left foot down as far forward as you can get it, and then land your back foot on an angle. Inhale, warrior one, arms and torso reach up high, front knee bends. Notice where you could connect to your feet. Whole front foot presses. Back edge of the back foot presses, but arches are a little lifted. Staying for another inhale. Let the breath go out. Hands come down to hips. Now you could bring your block around again. I like it in the center. If you have 2 blocks, bring on either side of your left leg. Coming into pyramid second side, you might step your back foot just a little bit farther forward, an inch or so. And then bring both of your hip points to face the front edge of your mat. So it might feel like you're pulling back your left hip and bringing your right hip just a little bit forward. Then we'll do that little back bend. hands to hips. As you inhale, lift your chest up towards your chin. And then as you exhale, flex your hips, fold forward. You could stay halfway the whole time. This is actually really great to strengthen the legs, hands to hips or airplane arms. If you feel like it, you could come forward. Hands could go to the block, or hands or fingertips could go on either side of your front foot. Option to keep your front knee a little bit bent. That's totally okay. Once you're fairly far forward, if you are folding forward, you might notice your spine rounding a little bit. But if you're halfway up, see if you could keep your spine long, reaching from your tailbone to the top of your head. Just a couple more breaths, you got it. One more inhale. Let the breath go out. This time, front knee bends a little. Inhale halfway up. You can move your prop out of the way there. Hands go to hips or airplane arms. Once you feel really strong and steady, inhale, rise up, warrior one for a breath in. And then as you exhale, hinge forward, back heel rises, your plank or table, your flow. Exhale, inhale, cobra, or maybe you're in cow. Exhale, downward facing dog or cat. Go to a place where you'd like to be for 5 breaths this time. Always checking in with how we're doing. Letting the breath move and be free. Just a couple more breaths right here. Filling up throughout the ribs as you inhale. And exhale, pressing firmly into your foundation. One more breath. Breathe it all out. Bend your knees, look forward, come on up to the front. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, chair. I'm sure it's our favorite. Just 3 breaths. Breath moves in. Breath moves out, feet strong. Last inhale. Full empty. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. As you exhale, hinge at your hips and fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, hands plant, step back to down dog or table. This time we'll come into more of the yin portion of our class. Now, for this, I like to have a little foam handy. If you have a little pillow, that works well. And I like to have access to my block just in case. So bring the foam over towards your right side. Now you could find 3-legged dog or bird dog if you're in table. Kick your right foot back as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, come into swan. That's where you bring your right knee towards your right wrist. And your right heel is towards your opposite hip. Now, if you have something going on with your front knee or your hip and it doesn't feel quite right, you could actually do this on your back. So you'd swing yourself around, come down onto your back, and come into more of a figure 4 shape. So your right ankle will be over your opposite knee. And you could stay here. You could bring your left foot on the block if you're on your back. You might even use a belt to hold onto your leg shape and bring it closer, or clasp your hands behind your left knee. Now, if you're in swan and you're feeling a nice stretch into your hips, especially your front hip, and you're fairly upright, stay right here. You might start to fold over your leg shape a little bit. And here we don't have to be so rigid. So you might start to come down to your forearms or forearms to block. If you feel like your head's fairly close to the ground, but you need a little support for the head, Just add a block or something under your forehead. Remaining here wherever you are for another 4 minutes. And know that you don't have to go to your full stretch right away. You have lots of time to sink in. And if you ever need to adjust or come out, that's okay too. So now we're finding a little more ease. Start to observe the body and notice any shifts that might have happened already. You might have noticed that your breath starts to slow down. And maybe it naturally doesn't go as deep into the body. See what else you can notice about the temperature of your body. And you might even notice any sensations throughout different points of the body. Seeing what you can notice right here. In these postures, I'll give you a little more space where I won't always be speaking. And see if you could notice what comes up for you. From moment to moment, it might change. It can be helpful to have an anchor, especially for this type of meditative practice. Often we use the breath as something we could come back to, like a touchstone. Sometimes it's available to notice the foundation, notice where you feel grounded. Or perhaps you use sound, something that's present and happening right now. Become aware of where your intention was placed. And often our mind will travel Notice where it went to. And softly bring your attention back to your body, your breath right now. Just 3 more moments or 3 more breaths. Now, since you were there for a while, give yourself time to come out. If you're on your back and you have your leg shape up, you could soften your left foot down the ground. If you had a belt, just bring it out to the side. If you're in sleeping swan, folded forward over your leg shape, start to press down into your forearms, press down into your hands, tuck your back toe under. You might even walk your knee back up a little bit closer towards your left hip. Once you feel strong in your foundation, press into your hands and either come back into your table or your downward facing dog. And here, the leg might feel a little creaky. It might feel something going on. You might like to bend one knee and then the other and just shake it out. Or if you're in table, do a few rounds of cat and cow. If you're on your back, have the legs uncrossed and do a little windshield wiper with knees side to side. And just a couple breaths right here. When you're ready, make your way over toward the second side. So if you're going into swan, kick your left foot back from either table or downward facing dog. Bring your left knee towards your left wrist. Reach your right leg behind you. Top of foot might land down, and your left heel is towards opposite hip. Now you could stay upright here in swan. That's totally okay. Again, if you're on your back, you might like the figure 4 option. Changing the cross of the legs, so left ankle over opposite knee. You could stay here the whole time. You might have your right foot on a block to bring this leg shape in a little closer. If you like, you could bring a belt behind your right thigh, hold on to that. Or you could clasp your hands behind your leg. So wherever you've chosen to be, go to a place where you feel a kind stretch. So it's a place where you'd like to go again tomorrow. Now, if you're in swan and you don't feel a whole lot of stretch yet, you might choose to fold forward over your leg shape, coming down to your forearms, perhaps adding a block under your head. Or your posture might start to look a little more like a child's posture from the upper body to the arms. Wherever you are, just 4 more minutes here. And every so often, just check in. Sometimes you might notice that the sides will differ from each other. So you might feel a different hip stretch on the side, or you might feel it somewhere else in your body. Notice where you could settle your foundation down and let the earth hold you here. Wherever you are, notice any sensations or feelings or thoughts that came up. Just noticing where the attention went to. And sometimes that's really the most important part, is just noticing what comes up. Then softly bring your attention back to your next 3 moments here or your next 3 breaths. Wherever you are, give yourself time to unwind. If you're on your back, you have a block or a belt. Feel free to bring that out to the side, uncross the legs. If you're in sleeping swan, fold it forward, press down into your forearms, and then walk your hands back under the shoulders. From here, tuck your back toes under. You might even inch your back leg a little more forward. Then press into your hands, come back up into downward facing dog or your table and do a few rounds of cat and cow. You can move your foam out of the way for now or any props. If you're on your back, you could bring your feet on the ground and rock your knees from side to side in a windshield wiper. And just a few breaths wherever you are. Getting a little more blood flow in the legs. You can make some impromptu movements. And then eventually, if you're in your downward facing dog, land your knees down on your mat, come into table. If you're on your back on your mat with your knees bent, roll over to your side for a moment. And I'll invite you all to, wherever you are, to land here on your mat in a seat. Give yourself time to come up if you need to. Now, I actually like to do this next posture lengthways on my mat. Feel free to work with what you have in your own space. So you could come towards the center of your mat. And I like to have a little pillow or a little foam handy, and you might like to have a block handy as well. So you could sit on the foam or a little elevation under your seat. Bring your feet out a little wider, and your soles of feet could be on the ground. Now, depending on how your hamstrings felt earlier, if you felt a lot of tension when you're stretching the backs of your thighs, you could stay here with your knees bent. That's totally okay. If you don't feel really a whole lot going on, you can start to straighten your legs a little bit. Now, if you start to feel some pressure here on the backs of the knees, you might even fill that space in, especially if you're at home. You could grab a couple pillows or a rolled up towel and just put that under your knees. Now, if you're feeling a stretch into the inner thighs, into your hamstrings and your hips, you're welcome to stay upright for your dragonfly. If you still don't feel a whole lot going on, then feel free to get a little taller as you breathe in And then as you breathe out, hinge from your hips and fold forward. So we're getting a lot of the action from the hips first. If your knees are bent, you could do this as well. You just kind of hang out with your arms in front of you or on the ground. Now, if you have a little ways to go and you're folded forward, you might choose to bring your forearms down to a block. Hands can be clasped or palms together. If you have some space here on the back line of the body, you might bring your forearms down and have your head supported. Your forehead could be down on a block. And just know that you have lots of time. So I'll be here for about 4 more minutes in whatever shape you have chosen. You don't have to go to your maximum stretch right away or at all today. Go to a place where you feel some sensation, but it's not too much. Always going for ease of breath. And just check in with how you're feeling here. So if you ever need to ease in or ease out or take another shape, that's okay. So we're going for kindness first over the stretch or how the posture looks from the outside. How, if you're folded forward, just check in with how you're feeling. Sometimes you might be able to get pretty relaxed here. Wherever you are, notice a few breaths. And then give yourself time to rise up if you are folded forward. So walking your hands back, bring your hands down, walking your hands back towards your hips as you come up with a tall spine. If you had the block out in front of you, you could bring it off to the side and start to walk your legs back in so that they're closer together. You might like to give them a little wiggle from side to side. And then from here, I'll invite you to make your way down onto your mat on your back. So if you feel funny when you happen to have your head down flat, you could have a foam or a little pillow under your head. From here, arms could go out a little bit to the sides, and we'll do a little windshield wiper. Feet on the ground, allow your feet to rock over towards your, or your knees rather, to rock over towards your right side and then your left side. So it's like a little windshield wiper, just kind of shaking out the stretches we did. And then eventually settle in. So you could come into your Shavasana with your arms out about 45 degrees or so to the sides with palms up. You could have your feet planted, or maybe you lengthen your legs out long. And if you like anything under your knees, to have a soft bend in your knees, add that in. If having your legs out long feels like a lot, you could come into more of a constructive rest with feet on the ground, toes point inward, and the feet are wide, knees drift towards each other. So this is another option, and it can offer some space into your low back. I'll come up to a seat just so I can keep an eye on the time. While you're here, you might choose to soften your gaze, or perhaps you close your eyes all the way. And I'll give you a few minutes of quiet so you can integrate your practice so far and your day, really sinking into the support of the ground. Here, you don't have to do anything, you can just be. Begin to notice where your body has landed and where you feel your body supported here, where your foundation lies. Become aware of your breath, your heart, and maybe even notice what's going on in your mind. Eventually, you can bring some small movement back to your physical body. So you might start to wiggle your fingers or your toes. And then gradually starting to wake up through bigger joints like wrists or ankles. Perhaps you rock your head a bit from side to side. If your legs were out long, you can bend your knees. And if your feet were out wide, walk them in. Roll over to your side in a fetal posture and allow your head to be supported with your foam or your bottom arm. Thank you for showing up to your practice today, however you did, just as you are. When you're ready to rise, use your top hand, press into the floor, and come up to a comfortable seat. If you need more time, give yourself more time. If you like, you could bring your hands to the center of your heart space with your palms together and thumbs touching the breastbone area. Thank you so much for being here. May we live from the center of our heart. I hope you have a lovely evening or rest of your day, whatever time it is for you. And I hope to see you around again soon. Take care. Bye.